Hey there, folks. It is me once again, and this was brought to my attention by, RCO Industries because, well, actually, yeah, RCO Industries because Ryu here brought me a notification about this on his video, and mind you, this is something serious, and yet at the same time, I got words for this. Because, mind you, we've dealt with a whole mess of deaths before, and this is something that I cannot condone enough. And I just got over one not too long ago for a blog video. So we're gonna get into this, and yes, I'm letting you guys know right now. I have the guns, the cannons, and everything else that is going on that is, you know, all under the sun right now. So mind you, there's going to be a lot that is being fired off, and mind you, yes, this is another Windows 10, another video I'm making off my Windows 10 because everything had to, well, you know the backstory. So here we go. This comes from Time.com, and I've been keeping this up for the last 2 days. So, kids are playing the choking game to get high. Instead, they're dying. And they all look stupid as all get out. So let's see. These 6 boys, among the many children and teenagers in the U.S., have died from playing the choking game, as compared to the nameless game. Clockwise to the left, we got one that was 12, died in California in 2010. Another 14 died in South Carolina in 2016. Another was 17 and died in Wisconsin in 2009. Then we got another who was 11 and he died in South Carolina in 2016. And then the next one was 13, died in Utah in 2012. And then the last one we see died, he was 12 in Pennsylvania in 2016. Let me just say, don't fuck, and let me repeat that, do not fuck with things like this. Especially if you got a budding career in whatever you're doing, don't fuck with this shit. So let's read this from beginning to end, shall we? Eric Robertson. Eric Robinson was 12 years old in April 2010 when he accidentally strangled himself. He had just returned home from a Boy Scouts weekend retreat where he earned an award for leadership. When he wrapped a rope around his neck and hung it from the pull-up bar in the kitchen of his family's two-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica, California, he was seeking the moment of lightheadedness and euphoria that comes from breathing again after temporarily cutting off the flow of blood and oxygen to the brain. Instead, he died. The cause listed by the police, the choking game. Okay, first and foremost, why the fuck do you need to do something like this? Seriously. You think this is a game? Honestly. You got something nice. You basically got yourself an award for leadership or whatever. And you just say, "Oh, I'm going to get high but by killing myself. I'm going to be cool, man. I want to see the stars, man. I want to see you know what? Rather this. If you really want to get high, smoke a blunt. roll a joint, smoke a blunt. I don't give a fuck, but just do that if you really want to get high. You're still alive. Your lungs gonna be quite fucked up, but you're still alive. I missed him by a few minutes, says his mother, Judy Rogg, who found her son slumped over in the doorway with his Boy Scout's rope, which he had used to practice knots, tied around his neck. Why the fuck would you give? Never mind. Rogg clawed at the rope as Eric hung, limp but still alive. When she could not undo the intricate slip knots, the single mother ran outside into the rain, screaming for help. That's the one thing you don't do. Okay? That's the one thing you don't do. You get the closest thing as to a knife and you cut that shit off. You don't go out and run out there into the rain. No, you stay with your kid. That's the problem right there. That's the problem there. Oh my God, my son is dead. My son is dead. My son is dead. My son is dead. I gotta save him. Oh, please help. Don't panic. First thing, and even if you do, be calm about it. Get yourself a knife. If you can't untangle it, you can cut the knot. Or something with something sharp. You basically have to cut it. God, this is pissing me off. A neighbor heard her and rushed over, removed the rope from Eric's neck, gave him CPR, but it was too late. Yeah, you did all that shit. You should have just did. He was brain dead, and at the hospital the following day, Rogg removed her only child from life support. It was every parent's worst nightmare, she says. Hundreds of families have endured that same nightmare. In the U.S. alone, 82 children between the ages of 6 and 19 died after playing the choking game between 1995 and 2007, the most recent year with data available, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Most of them were boys between the ages of 11 and 16, according to a 2008 CDC report citing news stories and families' own accounts. The federal government has not studied the issue since then, but there's no sign the deaths have slowed. More than 1,400 children and teens died from accidental hanging and strangulation from 2000 to 2015, according to the CDC. Yes, I am seeing a whole bunch of messages on my Discord going. Nothing I can do about it except say, whatever. Let's see. It's similar to the number of children and teens who died, in accidental shootings, about 1,900 in the same time period, and advocates fear the problem may be worsening. You think? The choking game instructions were once spread through word of mouth and carried out in pairs or groups, with one child squeezing out of another but stopping just short of the danger point. Now with millions of how-to videos on accidentation on a finger's tap away, kids are more likely to play this so-called game alone, choking themselves in their bedroom with their own belts with shoelaces, advocates say. Their own belts and shoelaces. This is the reason why I don't play horror games. Because they take that shit seriously. They think it's fun. They think, oh, hey, I'm going to see God. You're going to see something more than God. You ain't going to see God once you start doing this kind of shit. Moving on. Without the safeguard of a fellow player, what was intended as a momentary high can easily turn fatal. No shit! It's gotten more strict. No shit! A quick YouTube search turns up more than 13.6 million results for how to play pass-out game, and more than half a million more for how to play choking game, which included everything from news reports to handmade tutorials in one video titled Choking Game. A young boy struggles to choke himself with his bare hands, but ends up wheezing instead of passing out. I want to do it so bad, but I just can't do it, the boy says in the video, which was viewed more than 2,000 times from when it was posted in November 2015 until YouTube took it down 2 years later. Okay, first off, YouTube. YouTube. And to everyone else, listen to the sound of my voice. Let's just, for the sake of argument. Now most of the people here know that I'm a Let's Player. They also know, and you guys also know, that I'm also a reviewer of sorts. And whenever I read these kind of articles, they really start to piss me off to the point in which I myself just don't want to deal with this kind of shit. Because it's sad enough that people are dying through ways of feeling sorry for themselves, aka depression. I mean, really feeling sorry for themselves for no apparent reason. Just because life gave them a bad hand. It's bad enough that we got depression. Because one guy, no, a few people from YouTube actually passed away from depression. If not that, from other means. Robin Williams was the last person who actually died. I mean, legitly died of depression. And I'm sorry to say, but compare Robin Williams to some YouTuber on the rise. First off, not every case is that big and bad in the eyes of depression. It's only to the person who has seemed to have lost their will to live. I said, for someone on YouTube, you can still live. It's not like it is the end of the world if something happens. It's only the end of the world if you take that shit too far. This is something that I feel is being taken too far. You're doing this sort of mess just to do the following. You want to get hits, you want to show off, you want to get yourself some subs, you want to do this just for the sake of being an attention whore. Even though you're putting your own life at risk. And why do I mention this and depression? Well, let me tell you something. When I was younger, I believe it was like, I forgot if I think it was in my 20s. I remember this. I remember one of our little brothers. By the way, our group had been defunct ever since, so therefore we no longer have a Big Brothers group at our church. So this is what I remember. This guy was, but just about the same as this kid here. He basically was killing it. He was bringing in good grades. He was college bound. He was honor bound. He pretty much had his life set. He had it to where it was going to be a sweet life for him, and work smarter, not harder. And you know what? I can very much say, when you do work smarter, not harder, it's great. It's wonderful. You don't have to do much except pay your dues, and that's it. And even then, I felt that was pretty good. And to this day, I still feel that's pretty good. That All you have to do is just say work, just work smarter, not harder. To where the work you do kind of sells itself. You know, that's what we all want to be. To where our work sells itself. The sad thing is, this kid, and you wonder why I'm angry and upset about this. This kid hung himself. And you know what? His depression was about a girl. More likely younger than him, cheated on him, and he took that as an offense to where if he's not good enough for one person, then he's not good enough for himself. All that he did ain't worth shit without this one person in his life. And now that all that has happened, he feels like it don't really matter anymore. So you see why whenever someone brings this kind of attention to me, like, oh, this needs to be said. No, it don't need to be said unless you want me to really just go really, really mad. You really want me to blow me up. You really want me to just tell you stop acting so fucking stupid. Yeah, that's about it. Stop acting so fucking stupid. You're basically wasting your goddamn time doing this kind of shit in which you could be outside. You could be living your life. You could be, oh, I don't know. I don't know. You might be wanting to make something of yourself instead of just doing this stupid kind of shit. But no, no, y'all want to do this kind of shit just because y'all want to be internet famous. None of y'all ain't Justin Bieber. None of y'all ain't PewDiePie. None of y'all ain't Markiplier. They're all idiots, but they make money. But they don't go and get themselves killed because, oh hey, I want to choke myself. Do you still want me to go on with this? Fine. We shall go on with this. Since you got me nice and pissed off, let us do this since you guys wanted me to report this sort of thing. As the number of victims has mounted, a group of grieving parents, mostly mothers, have mobilized to spread an urgent message to technology companies, the country's policymakers, and schools. But they often feel like no one is listening. The federal government no longer studies choking game deaths, so there is no recent national data on the problem. The CDC declined to say why the deaths are not tracked. Many coroners are not trained. Are not trained. Let me slow down here because I am actually upset. Many coroners are not trained to identify it, so the deaths can often be misclassified as suicides. According to several coroners across the country, many schools are reluctant to raise awareness about the dangers of the choking game, fearing the lesson could backfire, teaching students how to play the game instead. Companies like YouTube and Facebook have begun to take action against disturbing videos which show the choking game being played with belts or ropes, but advocates argue the video giants aren't responding quickly enough. Sharon Grant started the nonprofit GASP, Games Adolescents Shouldn't Play, when her 12-year-old son Jesse died in 2005 after he played the choking game with a rubber computer cord and accidentally suffocated. See, this is the kind of shit that is a misnomer. This kid accidentally suffocated on a rubber computer cord. Where the fuck were you when all this was going down, eh? She had been frustrated at how difficult it's been to stop other children from dying in the same preventable way. It's heartbreaking, she said, that we can't make a difference. Okay, okay, I'm being reminded of one thing that my friend Floyd has reminded me of. Tide Pods. Tide Pods. People doing Tide Pod challenges. It's the most stupidest thing because you realize you are drinking poison. You're putting poison in your system. But hey, if you want to wipe out the populace of stupidity, be my guest. I'm smart enough to know, okay, simply you have no point in wanting to give two shits, let alone a shit about your life because of, oh, hey, I'm doing this because I want to get noticed. Motherfucker, Senpai don't notice this kind of shit. All you're going to get from Senpai is Senpai just going to just do this. He's going to say, stop that shit right now. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's heartbreaking. Bitch, that ain't heartbreaking. Y'all not doing, you guys aren't doing your job as parents. I've seen plenty of parents. I've seen plenty of parents just for some reason in my old job I can attest to this. I've seen some kids that are, well, I shouldn't say in my old job, but I've seen this in high school as well. When I was in high school, they try to build their children up to where, oh, there's nothing wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. If they aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is supposedly attending their classes and maintaining good grades and being part of the class that their parents, that these parents have basically put in good money into them taking because, oh, hey, you need to take these classes because it's a requirement. They require classes you need to survive in today's world. Really, you're gonna really don't don't coddle them. Don't coddle stupid. And yet it's funny if I were to go anywhere else, I go to say GameStop, and here I am. I'm getting something for myself. Like I say, I'm getting Steam Cash or whatnot. And for some reason, I see this scene with a parent and some kid around about, like say, 7 or 8 years old. They get a game. They get some kind of FPS game that basically they're not supposed to have because it's under age. It's under a certain age. And for some reason, it's just really just fucking stupid. Just fucking stupid. And yet you're gonna let them get away with murder because they're gonna scream, they're gonna yell, they're gonna just say, hey, you don't do that, I don't like you. You know what? I would have slapped the taste out their mouth. I said the thing is this, parents, y'all ain't doing your job. Parents, y'all ain't doing your job. So no, you slap the shit out of them if they start doing this kind of mess. I said, even if they were watching YouTube, keep them away from the dark, dangerous side of YouTube. And I do mean there is a dark and dangerous side of YouTube. Everybody knows that. And we're not talking about the weird part. I mean, we're talking about the parts that just seem like there are people trying to make a joke out of something that is definitely serious. Death is something you should never, ever make fun of. But yet, you got some YouTubers that do that. I won't be naming names. I've already named enough already. But in the sense that this is what's going on, okay, you guys need to step in. Parents need to step in. And not just no show off when you got an audience. No, step the fuck on in. I don't care what the hell you doing. You best save your kids. You made the responsibility of wanting to have children, but you don't have the but you want to slack on that responsibility of taking care of them, especially when left to their own devices. I hope I don't get hurt. The choking game's origins are murky, but anecdotal evidence suggests children have been playing versions of it since at least the 1930s. Some experts say it's been around as long as kids have been curious. It's been known by different names: Pass Out Challenge, Flatliners. That's what it reminds me of, Flatliners. Space Monkey. But the goal has remained the same: get high through temporary asphyxiation. Asphyxiation, by choking. While some may draw a connection between the choking game and autoerotic asphyxiation, a sexual act involving the deprivation of oxygen to stimulate arousal, experts believe that in the case of these children, and my apologies if I'm messing that word up, but I'm trying to say it as best way I can. Asphyxiation. Asphyxiation. It's more about seeking a sense of euphoria. The game is based on the idea that if stopped soon enough, it leaves no lasting damage. But that's often not the case. Brain cells begin dying within minutes of blood and oxygen deprivation. And in the carotid arteries in the neck are compressed by a belt or rope. It can lead to irreversible brain damage after 5 minutes, says Dr. Catherine Thomas, who chairs the Department of Neurology at Intermountain Medical at Intermountain. Let me read that again. Brain cells begin dying within minutes of blood and oxygen deprivation, and if the carotid, why am I getting carotid? Carotid arteries in the neck are compressed by a rope or belt. It can lead to irreversible brain damage after 5 minutes. This lady, Dr. Catherine Thomas, who chairs the Department of Neurology at Intermountain Medical Center in Salt Lake City. If you're going to do it repeatedly and you reach the point of having actual permanent cell death, then that could be addictive, she says. And in fact that a child's brain is still developing, and experts say preteens and teens are uniquely susceptible to the lowering of the choking game. The ability to think about and anticipate the future consequences and act is something that develops gradually, says Temple University psychology professor Lawrence Steinberg. An 11-year-old, first of all, doesn't realize what could happen, and even if he could realize what could happen, he's probably not imagining it could happen to him. This is why, parents, you need to spend time with your children. While you have the time to spend with your children, go talk to your children about this. Spend time with your children. Whenever any kid says, "Watch me," "Look at me," they basically want you for their attention. They want you to give them attention. That's all. Because they're supposed to be the apple of your eye, the cream in your coffee, your joy for living. Treat them like that. They say, look, you look. You don't get tired of them and say, yeah, okay, I'm looking, and then you're looking elsewhere. That's not parenting. That's just being fucking lazy. While the CDC no longer studies the choking game nationally, a handful of states have been recently chosen to ask children about it through the CDC's annual youth risk behavior surveillance system. Five states have questioned. Five states added questions about the choking game to their risk assessments between 2008 and 2017, and the results showed many middle students were familiar with it. In Oregon in 2008, about 36% of eighth graders said they were aware of the game, while 6 said they had played it. In Kentucky, Montana, Florida, and Utah, about 7 to 10% of the students said they either been choked by someone or purposely tried to choke themselves for the feeling or experience it caused. And y'all doing this to get fucking high. God damn. Levi Drawhair had already played the choking game 3 times when he slung out a climbing rope across a bunk bed frame at his boarding school in Huntington, Texas, and leaned his neck into the rope on October 28, 2006. Drawhair was 15 at the time, had learned the game through friends who were playing it too. It felt good, he says, that's why. Drawhair expected to roll over and fall off the rope once he passed out, but his body stayed put. He says he was lying on the rope, unconscious and not breathing, for about 15 minutes before he was found. He had a heart attack and spent 3 days in a coma as his organs failed. Despite the odds, Drawhair emerged from the coma and recovered, though he suffered from short-term memory loss and his motor skills damage, including tremors in his hand. I died and came back, says Drawhair, who went on national television months after the incident to warn others about the serious consequences of the choking game. Almost immediately, I looked at life in a completely different way. He is now a father to 2 young children and works at a discount sporting goods store warehouse in Kansas while also training in jiu-jitsu, a martial art. Drawhair urges anyone who will listen against playing the choking game. Make the right choice to live, he says. Make the right choice. Which most people just don't do these days. There's some people who take the moronic way and just say, I'm just going to try this because YouTube told me to. This random dude on YouTube told me to try this because it's cool. And the cool kid's doing it because he's cool. And I like him. You dumb fuck. That's a harder message to spread when millions of videos referencing the choking game are so easily accessible online and children continue recording their dangerous experiments. 14-year-old Carson Steele used his cell phone to take videos of himself hanging by a belt inside his bedroom closet in Rock Hill, South Carolina in 2016. In one of the videos, according to his mother, Carson says, I'm getting ready to do this. I hope I don't get hurt. You would kind of see him drop, and you would hear it. And it would be an audible sound of the belt restricting his air, recalls his mother, Jennifer. You would hear Carson gasp, and you would see his feet dangling. And then the question is, why didn't you stop it? He died on June 18, 2016. His parents and twin brother found him hanging inside his bedroom closet with a belt wrapped tightly around his neck. Carson, who had inspired to become a U.S. Marine, had been playing the choking game. Don't really care. For at least 2 months, and had recorded himself at least 4 times. His mother says, there's not a lot of laughter in our house anymore. She says, we're very different people. You dumb motherfucker. In December 2017, YouTube announced it would amp up efforts to stop the spread of potentially dangerous videos by hiring more people to scour its website and take down videos that threaten child safety, including choking game related footage. In a statement, the company said its guidelines prohibit content as intended to encourage dangerous activities that have an inherent risk of physical harm. We work to quickly remove flagged videos that violate our policies. A YouTube spokeswoman told Time on December 4th, 2017. The company said it had reviewed nearly 2 million videos for violent extreme content and removed more than 150,000 of those videos since June. The YouTube spokeswoman did not specify how many of the videos were pulled related to the choking game or provide more recent figures. The announcement came after the New York Times in November 2017 reported on a number of violent videos found on the family-friendly YouTube Kids app, including one of which some of the characters of the popular animated children's series Paw Patrol are brutally killed. Urge to kill very rising. Anti-choking game advocates say children also post how-to videos on other platforms, including Facebook and Snapchat. On November 3rd, 2017, in response to a request for comment from Time, Facebook said it had been investigating the issue for the last 15 months after hearing rumors about the choking game, but did not find any related videos on its platform. Snapchat, an app that sets itself apart. And my phone's going off. Okay, cool. That's fine. Where was I? Let's see. Facebook. Yeah, November 3rd, 2017. In response to a request for a comment from Time, Facebook said it had been investigating the issue for the last 15 months. And after hearing rumors about the choking game, but did not find any related videos on its platform, Snapchat. And that sets itself apart through the impertinence of its video and photo messages, did not comment. YouTube's latest attempt to crack it down on inappropriate content is a good first step, ROG says, but it's only a temporary fix because there's nothing to stop teens from continuing to post new videos. It's really a whack-a-mole job. ROG says, for every one that comes down, another 10 go up. Because, again, we can blame the parents. The parents do not stop this shit. God damn it, stop doing that. Fucking hell, nobody want to hear that shit. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of emails popping up, so. I know what's going on. On August 31st, 2016, Stacy Pope took a quick trip to the supermarket and left her 11-year-old son, Garrett, in the kitchen doing his homework. When she returned to her family's home in Indian Land, South Carolina, Garrett was no longer where she had left him. Pope sent her two youngest children, 4-year-old Jackson, 6-year-old Molly, to fetch their brother and tell them to get ready for dinner. But the two siblings emerged from their older brother's bedroom puzzled. Gary's pretending to be sleeping with a belt wrapped around his neck. Jackson told his mother. Okay, first and foremost, before I actually continue this, first and foremost, okay, fucking homework and wait, okay? See, that's the problem. This is the problem right here. You leave some kids to certain devices. What all parents need to do is, like, if you have younger kids, take them with you no matter what. You take them with you no matter what happens. If they got homework, just say, no, you know what? Stop for a moment. You stop for a moment, and we're gonna go to the store. Will you stop that? I heard you the first time. It's not even funny anymore. Because what I'm reading is not really funny at all. I'm really, really angry right now. As I said before, as far as what you guys need to do as parents, take your kids with you no matter what. This is the kind of thing the parents need to do. Parents need to take their kids. If they're under the age of 18, if they're going to the store, you go with them. I said, oh, I got homework. Wait till you get back. We're going to the store. Me too? Yes, you too. We're all going to the store together. I'm seeing a whole bunch of Discord messages go up right now, and just like at the same time I'm doing this, it's like I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that, and just like I said, I am really pissed off in reading this. So she rushed into Garrett's bedroom, or is it Pope? Yeah, Pope. Yeah. She rushed into Garrett's bedroom, saw her 11-year-old boy lifeless on his knees. Garrett had then taken the cloth belt off his uniform, tied it around his neck, and then hung the other end from the top of one of his bunk beds. He was already gone, she says. His lips were gray, just had a smell to him. I remember screaming and screaming that never come out of my mouth in my life. She cried as she loosened the belt, gave her son CPR, and called 911. Jackson and Molly were sitting inside the room watching. I wish I had looked at him a little longer. I wish I kissed him goodbye. No, you should have stopped it from happening! After Garrett's death, Pope was racked with guilt, thinking her son had committed suicide. She couldn't come up with a reason why he would kill himself. But she had no other explanation. That is until the coroner investigated and determined it was the choking game. I've already realized this. Thank you. Then I connected. Yes, I know. I've already noticed this too. Then I connected the dots, Pope says. A week before his death, Garrett came home with red marks on his neck. He claimed it happened after wrestling a friend, and Pope thought perhaps it was his pet allergies were acting up. But Garrett, a rambunctious, playful boy, had always been sluggish days before his death. His mother says at the time Pope was unaware. Those are the signs of the choking game. Now I look back and say, oh my lord, he had been doing it for a good week, she says. For 2 weeks after his death, Pope kept Garrett's bedroom shut. When she finally walked inside, she wept and apologized. She said, I'm so sorry, buddy, but I'm going to make it up to you, she recalls. The 42-year-old former teacher decided to join the fight against the choking game in October 2016. Pope met with Steele, the Southern Carolina mother who had just lost her son to Carson to the game, and Rog. The three grieving families met for dinner at a restaurant in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where they swapped stories about their sons. It was sad. Here we are sitting talking about our boys, Pope says. If I see how sad the three of us are, I don't want another mom sad like this. When the dinner was over, the parents made their way to Sullivan Middle School in Rock Hill, where they hosted a 2-hour educational forum about the choking game for about 125 parents and students. As sadness turns into strength, she says. It's dangerous for us to ignore it. Okay, first and foremost, You know what? I'm gonna read this, and I'm just gonna share my thoughts afterwards, because, like I said, I am naturally that pissed off and upset and all that. Rog, who started a non-profit Eric's Cause, after her son's death, worked for years to develop her own training program to help schools to teach kids about the dangers of the game without using graphic specific language. For example, Rog and Stephanie Small, the nonprofit's co-founder, never touched their necks while speaking to the students. We don't show how. We don't show kids how to do it. We talk about what goes on in the brain and why it's so important to keep their brain healthy, says Rog, 66, a retired social worker. In 2014, the program, which consists of a video and PowerPoint presentation, was adopted for the first time by the Irons County School District in Utah after 4 children in the district died from playing the choking game in a three-year period. 2 of the deaths in 2011 were weeks apart. All 4 children had played the game alone, according to Cedar City Police Detective Mike Bleak, who was involved in the investigations and urged school leaders to implement Rog's program. It breaks my heart to have to investigate dead kids, he says. If I can prevent that, I'm in. About 10,000 students have gone through the program since its implementation. No other child in the school district has died by accidental hanging or strangulation since, according to Bleak and Jennifer Wood, who recently retired as the district's director of secondary education. They credit their success to education. It's dangerous for us to ignore it and just let YouTube show them how to do it. Wood says knowledge is power. We just feel good that we're not ignoring this. In addition to pushing for more awareness about the choking game, advocates are also trying to get better data on the problem. They want the CDC to include questions on it in its main annual youth surveys. The CDC declined to answer a question from Time about whether that change could be made. The advocates also want to educate local coroners about how to distinguish between suicide deaths and the choking game. It's a very difficult diagnosis to make, but investigation is key, says Priya Banjuji, a forensic pathologist in Rhode Island. The only clear sign of a suicide is if a note is left behind, but there are other ways to decipher what happened. Choking game players are more likely to be found with their feet or knees on the ground. Investigators might also look for previous markings on the top of bed frames to see whether the choking game had been played before. You have to look at all the physical evidence on the scene, and then you have to sit and ask the hard questions to parents, says Lancaster County Coroner Carla Knight Deese, who was trained to recognize choking game deaths by the South Carolina Coroners Association. That training helped her determine that Garrett Pope did not commit suicide. It's a very delicate process, she says. I have to keep busy. Of course you do. Rog is reminded of her son's death every day. Some of Eric's ashes are inside a necklace that dangles near her heart. The rest are kept inside an ammo box at home, a perfect spot, Rog says, because Eric had dreamed of becoming a soldier. At age 12, he could handle a rifle with professional ease, and Rog says he had been in touch with the U.S. Military Academy Preparatory School in West Point. On top of her part-time job as a human resource consultant, Rog dedicates about 20 hours a week to X Cause. In 2017 alone, she traveled twice to Utah to give teachers a refresher on her program and had speaking events in Pennsylvania, California, and Maryland. In October, she flew across the country to stay with a New Jersey family who had just lost a child to the choking game. This is the best way for me to preserve his legacy, she says. I am very, very broken. I have to keep busy, otherwise I'm just staring at the walls. Yeah. So, my final thoughts about this is the following. Y'all supposed to be parents. When you have children, your time is with them. and you make every bit of that count. Whatever they do, you have to notice it. Being a parent means that every day in your child's life is precious, and you have to be there. Whether you are going to the store, you take them with you. Don't leave them by themselves. This is what I'm getting. For most of what I've seen from looking at these photos, they were all left to their own devices. They were all left to their own devices. They were without somebody watching them. And what happened? This is what happened. Because, oh hey, I found out this cool game where everybody can, where you could go flatline and then just come back. Yeah, but guess what? You run the risk of you run the risk of damaging yourself for life. For what it's worth, it is not worth it. Just because, oh, what's trending is the big new thing. I'm sorry, but there's a reason why I don't go with the trending shit. There's enough reason why I don't go with what's trending out there and what's hip and what's a fad and everything. I don't go with fads just because of that reason alone. I don't need to. What the fuck should I do that for? There's some things I just do not do. I mean, I'll go to my annual anime expo for 1 year. So that means, oh hey, if it's still here in LA, I'm going. I'm going to get my 4 days. I'm going to enjoy myself. Now whether I'm going to be staying here at home or I got or I'm going to be staying at a hotel, that's completely up to me. But the point is, I like to enjoy my life. These kids, young boys, young gentlemen. And like I said, I've seen too much of this going on. I mean, there's depression. To me, this is depressing reading this shit. And you want me to make a message about this? Okay, first and foremost, to my friends out there who are listening to this, for fuck's sake, don't be depressed. You had a day, please talk about it. Don't act like nobody can understand you because of what you've been through. Another thing, do not consider suicide. This is suicide without means of suicide. This is suicide by stupidity. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Suicide by stupidity. You're going to... It's like this. We all have problems. We just don't take that for granted. Instead, no, we call ourselves names. We call ourselves idiots. We call ourselves jackasses. We put ourselves down. And yet, these kids right here, they all have promising futures. But what happened? They all died out of stupidity. Just because it's trendy. My friends told me about this, and I'm going to do the same thing they did. I'm going to kill my blood cells. I'm going to kill whatever. I'm going to kill my brain cells, not my blood cells. I'm going to kill my brain cells. I'm going to make myself just as dumb as they are, just because I want to get noticed. You mean to tell me you're not getting noticed from your own family? The fuck is wrong with you? You got a goddamn mouth. You use it. Motherfuckers. dumbasses. Fuck. It just leaves me just really, 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 really fucking upset after reading all this shit. It really does. Because, like I said, I've seen, and let me remind you, I have seen way too much death in my life just to say I can only stomach it for so long, but if you bring it to me, I got words. I have guns. I have cannons. I got a freaking spirit beam ready to launch at anybody. I can unleash the sound and the fury of 1,000 suns at this point. But you know what? It's awareness. Again, and I'm saying this from the kindness of my heart. Parents, do your fucking job. And let me do this too. Please, if it's harsh, it it needs to be said. If it has profanity, it needs to be said. And I'm getting it out because it really does need to be said. And plus, also to those on social media, retweet this, share this, make the message go around that this kind of mess is still out there, and it needs to be notified. It needs to be. It really does. It really does need to be notified that nobody can condone this. I mean, depression is one thing because depression can go either way. This doesn't depress me. This just drives me to pure, utter anger. So my final thoughts is to anyone who's a parent, watch your kids. Take them with you wherever you go. Don't consider, you know, that they're doing the right thing. It's always the right thing. Be with them, especially when it's online. Excuse me. Especially if they're watching YouTube. No, you shadow them. You sit next to them and you watch them. If they're watching something that basically says, "Oh, you can do this," if it's not to help them, you stop them right there because you got the power to basically stop stupidity like this. Parents do have that power to stop stupidity like this. You just need to really do it. That's all. That's it. I've been your friendly neighbor, Tenkaichi. I'm gonna go get myself a drink. Good night.